Hello, guys, and welcome back to the wrap up for the 17th of January 2020. First good start to this year and this trading experiment. Again, just to kind of quickly wrap up what is happening here for everybody is essentially this particular series. We have a trading philosophy where we use kind of the back tester in which Trade Ideas has, and let me just show you that real quick. This is example of a back test that you can run in Trade Ideas and just say what would happen if this scan kind of comes through an alert. And, this one is a 62% win rate back over the last 3 months and all of the stats. And you can go through and look through every single day's trading as that would happen. So essentially we take those, and on Friday we scan the list of the stocks that it's given, come up with 4 longs and 4 shorts that are interesting, and then trade those throughout the week, put the stop limits in place, and some rules around them, which you can do with the Brokerage Plus, the ability to auto trade through Trade Ideas. Say, take this as long as it doesn't gap and as long as it's not within the first minute or two of the day, or whatever rules you decide to have. We trade those throughout the week. I record kind of what's happened that week, and then I give you my list for the next week, and we rinse and repeat. So we have that. We've got some auto trading, day trading, some auto trading, swing trading, and a couple new series that are going to come up fairly soon. So first of all, let's just start at kind of what the SPY has done this week. Is always a great way to start. And once again, just another strong week. This thing is just on a tear and cannot be stopped. Really nothing else to say, 5 days about straight up, just kind of busting any of the permables out there. So again, yes, this is extended from 285 to 331 pretty much nonstop, but things can say extended for a very, very long time. So again, I'm not going to bet against it. I'm going to continue to trade both sides of the market the way I always do. It's always good to know kind of where everything is at that time. So this week it was about 410 when I started, and because this is a new year, I'm going to keep up this spreadsheet that you see here, which essentially is just going to show per 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500 shares what this return would be, and we're going to track this for all kind of 52 weeks that I do it in. So there's only one data point right now, so it doesn't look very good, but about $410 per 100 shares traded. I just want to keep everything kind of open and honest for everyone, so you can kind of see how this performs throughout the year. So we got long here on TXRH. Basically, we missed the gap up here. It just gapped right through our price on Monday and then kind of pulled back nicely for us before continuing higher. This was basically a break of this downtrend. So to be honest, if it wasn't this particular rule set for this particular kind of trading, this is something that you could probably stay in just because it had the breakout of this downtrend line and then it retested pretty perfectly and then rocketed off. You'd have a pretty good trade location for a stop in there. Our one loser of the week was CNC. We were basically looking for it to kind of sell off under these doji candles, and it did for a few days, but then it bounced up. So a slight loser on that one. HZNP we were very, very, very lucky on. Came down almost right to the tick here and got us in before just kind of popping up and then chopping around for the week. I would say 9 times out of 10, you don't get that fill. It was just kind of a little bit lucky for us this time. And last but not least, PS. We were looking at this kind of area of resistance here and the pretty big short float on this one. So we had it kind of break through here on Tuesday, I believe, and continued up much, much higher. So that was what happened last week. Again, a good start to the trading. So let's go over what we are looking at for this week. So First is PM, Pulte Holmes, Philip Morris. Basically just kind of an area of resistance here on a very strong stock, right? So just higher lows all throughout here with a indecision candle Thursday and another indecision candle with a bottoming tail here on Friday. Anyone who's followed me for any length of time knows I love candlestick analysis and these particular candles in particular. And Nucor and UE basically had a nice kind of strong push up, put in a series of higher lows, and then had this pullback down to the 200-day moving average. That's kind of coming in right here. Ever since that, it's put in a little bit of base with kind of this short-term ascending triangle. I think if it gets back over the 200-day, there's a potential that this thing could push higher. CDNS. Essentially the same kind of move here as PM, where we've got a nice kind of strong push up here and then a nice indecision candle at a prior resistance area with really not a lot of stuff in the way until about the $75 mark. Last but not least, on the long side is LYB, and this is just kind of another pullback play. It has this descending channel here, came back, bounced off the low of the channel, and then bounced up, and then 1, 2, 3 indecision candles in a row. So I think if it gets over that, it has a chance to come up here and test the high of this range or continue even higher. So now to the short side, because we try to keep these portfolios fairly balanced. So Fast here actually had earnings today in the pre-market, and it gapped down, shot way up real early, and then sellers kind of came in pretty dramatically and pushed it back down. This area has been a huge amount of resistance, and that's actually just where it stopped on earnings. So noting this resistance area here and this kind of weird candle with a really big topping tail, I just think if we break the low of this, we could continue and maybe test this $34 area. SYY. Essentially just your very typical bear flag. Overextended, but a big strong move up to 70 to 85. Had this kind of strong push down and then this chop sideways. And it's interesting to see that even though we haven't really moved in these last 4 days, it's been all red candles. So just kind of showing that regardless of what the stock is doing, the sellers are kind of coming in to make sure it closes a little bit below the open. EMR. EMR is from this kind of channel or wedge where it's popped up against the top of this. And then the other thing is I noticed this in one of my videos. I'm taking the CMT course, and they talked a lot about RSI divergences. So I've been doing a lot of researching and studying myself, starting to add them slowly into my trading and see how well they work. But essentially what it's looking for is when a stock is moving higher and the RSI is trending lower or vice versa, just kind of showing that there's a diminish of momentum from things moving higher and then the strength it's taking to get there. So just taking a look at that, maybe momentum is drawing out a bit. So if we end up coiling back over here, we've got a lot of area that it could go into. This one's more of an experimental play, as when I create a new strategy like that, I try to add it slowly into the existing strategies that I know that work. CPB. Essentially just a bear flag here as well. Ever since we've come to this top here and we had this pretty decent sell-off, it's just been this kind of sideways or slowly uptrending bear flag. These things generally, when they continue, they've got a good chance to recreate the pole that got into them, which would kind of get us down into this area. So that is the portfolio for next week. Quickly going to take a look at crypto. Last time we talked about crypto, I do this every few weeks or so as someone who just trades this along with everything else. We were noticing, again, the same kind of thing here with this RSI divergence, right? A lower low in the RSI, and then a higher low in the RSI and a lower low in the stock. And then looking at this, let's call it 7,600 area. That's been important for a very long time here. When we got back above that, I entered into a small long, and I'm kind of just trailing that below the 8-period moving average. One thing to note, even though this is not a very exact drawn trend line, it's just kind of a shot in the dark. We're struggling at that area again, so it'll be interesting to see if this downtrend continues and this is just a counter trend rally in an already existing downtrend, or whether this is kind of just going to base sideways and then break that downtrend and push higher. So again, it is interesting to note, but again, I'm all about the short-term swing trading, so I follow those shorter-term trends. So that is it for this week, and I hope to see you guys in the next.